Okay. Hello humans, hello humans. Okay, so this is a hopefully quickish video to talk about this manifestation business. You live in a self-serve reality. I'm gonna just step through a lot of things and not take the time to provide a lot of supporting material on the assumption that you'll get off your butt and go look this stuff up. You know, it's easy with AI and so on. So some of the names to know are like Neville Goddard. Go look up his material and use that to branch out into other sources here. I like Neville Goddard because of his straightforward, simplistic understanding of it. Okay, so we live in a self-serve reality. And that is to say that the reality is structured in a particular way in which our consciousness aids in co-creating. I have a particular view of this. The view allows me to operate within the reality very well. Is that view true? There's aspects of it that are factual for sure. Beyond that, truth is an emotion tied to your perception. Our reality is composed of supreme consciousness and illusion. That's it. The only thing that exists in our reality. The supreme consciousness maintains the illusion. It created the illusion. It wants the illusion. It has the illusion such that us, individual beings, think that there's matter, think that we're part of matter, and that we're separate from supreme consciousness. None of those are true. But it doesn't matter, okay, because we live in the matter, all right? So this is where you are expressing, this is where all of your life will express, is within this matter, the materium, where there's the perception of solidity. Again, perception, that's all it is. Okay, so all of your life will be lived in the materium, right? This is where our material reality is. It's a name for it. The materium is constructed in a particular way by supreme consciousness. There's layers, right? There's processes, there's all different kinds of things. And the materium has within it life. Life that is bonded to matter, that thinks itself, perceives itself bonded to matter. All of this is about, this whole discussion here and manifestation, all of that is about the perception and how to have effective perception of what's going on around you and how to use it in your favor. For as long as you are considering yourself an individuated life being. Okay, so within this reality, you will find forces. These forces operate through other beings that share this space with you. Some of these other beings don't want you to know about the idea of manifestation. They don't want you to know about the idea of co-creation because they want you to think of the world as grit, as solid, as can't be altered. Your perceptions, emotions, and so on have no bearing whatsoever from their viewpoint. Okay, and so these people are what I call the gritologists, right? They study the science of grit. They don't want you thinking about consciousness. They don't want you thinking about any of that sort of stuff and how it influences how the grit manifests. That's entirely forbidden. You cannot understand that. You cannot see that. That's their whole perception. All of science is that way. All of science is captured by these people. I call them the Talmudist because the Talmud is nothing but 63 volumes of discussion and commentary on how to achieve just this, how to convince humans that they do not participate in co-creation. All right, so we have this idea, and should have a better one of these guys. And that one, there we go. Co-creation, okay, or alternatively, manifestation. This is what Neville Goddard spoke about. He had a particular view of it. He was very good at it. He was an older proponent of it. His view was not as organized and as structured as is mine, and I've done some reductionist kind of thinking on it. Reductionism comes from the Gritologists. It's not really useful in manifestation. It does not aid you to understand the mechanics of any aspect of the reality. What will aid you is to understand that your reality is not, this is so complex. This is why I've been so reluctant to get into it, because of all these layers. Your reality is being created, co-created by your mind. It's being co-created by parts of your mind that are operating at a level beyond your perception within the materium itself. All right? So if we think about it a particular way, the present is your mind here, vibrating in this space. This is the present. In that present, we have the 3D material reality. But this is only a small aspect of your mind. You have, for instance, the ability to conceive of the past, to have memory. So that memory, all of this is outside your body, by the way. None of this exists in your brain. Your brain is just the antenna, the focal lens through which consciousness does all of this stuff. So we're not going to get too hung up in the actual physical part, the biophysical part. We will go into it because there's parts of the biophysical thing that you can clue into to aid the manifestation process, and in fact, it's vital. This is a complex process. Each part is simple, but you need to have all of the parts in order for it to succeed. Okay, so this is your vibration within the present. You actually are also having that same vibration. If we think about this, if we were to think about this as time, then you have these other vibrations ahead of the material present that is actually manifesting for you. You have to understand that the material reality does not persist. It doesn't exist at that level. The atoms in your body, if you go and talk to scientists, they'll tell you it's 99.9999% or something like that. Space, empty space between the electrons and the protons and stuff. Ergo, it doesn't exist. You just don't perceive that space in there. That's factual. Okay, so your body is continually being created and destroyed. The material reality is continually being created and destroyed by supreme consciousness in order that the illusion might have this effect on us to make us think that we are individuated and that there is matter and we're moving it and doing stuff with it, right? This is a desired illusion on the part of supreme consciousness, because what it wants to do we as above, so below, and all of these kind of things, we here in this material reality have these things called neural nets. These neural nets are an analog, a reduced version of what we actually are. Okay, we are the nodes within a neural net, and this is how we all learn and stuff. And so that's what this material reality is. And we've crafted a replica, an analog, a minor level vibration of that with our computers and our computing processes and the software discoveries we make and so on. So it's, as above, so below. It's all layers, and in the theme, the metaphor goes through all the layers. Very much like our existence itself. We have particular vibration. That particular vibration exists in a solid state all through the eternal now, and we perceive the part of that vibration that is manifesting within the 3D material reality, the materium. So I told you it's complex. You don't know how many layers there are. There's not much point for me diverting to go into a lot of detail. There's a huge number of people out there doing this. This manifestation stuff is going to take off. Lots and lots of people are going to jump on it because of it, what it does, right? What you can do with it. It's a self-serve reality, and I decided to be selfish and manifest the reality I wanted. So as I was dying, a lot of shit came to my understanding. This 2018, Friday the 13th, and as I was resurrecting myself, I came to have I had 4 days in the hospital after the colon surgery. I died of colon cancer. And I had had success in life. I had manifested stuff. I understood some of the parts of the manifestation. I'd never explored it. It's not supported in our universe, in our material reality. The people that run it don't want you to know this because it removes power from them. They want you to think that the reality exists and is not really just simply a fading perception, right? You exist more ahead of the material reality than you actually exist within the material reality. And it's complex, and it keeps getting more so as we go deeper. But it's also malleable. You don't need to have all the complexities in order to know how to manifest and how to have it work. It's self-serving, and we're all using it because we co-create the reality along with supreme consciousness. If all the consciousness stopped, didn't exist here, there would be no material reality. Unless we perceive it, the material reality does not exist, won't present itself. This is why we have such great power. Okay, so if you can train your mind in its encapsulated, attached form to your brain, if you can participate in that training of the mind by putting energy into specific parts of your understanding of reality, which is your consciousness as well as your physical form, if you can direct that energy, then you can manifest, right? The stuff you want will appear. It doesn't work like, you can't say, well, you know, I want a particular variety of a car or, you know, this kind of thing. You don't go about it that way. It's not like going in a store and shopping, okay? It's not possible to manifest people in your life the way you want them to be, okay? So no amount of obsession with a person will allow you to manifest them in your life the way that you want them, right? I'm telling you this. We have stalkers, Heidi and I. And so the stalker is deluded. He thinks that he can manifest Heidi into his life in a particular manner. And that's not going to happen. Yes, he can manifest Heidi into his life, but it will not be as he chooses because of because she's a conscious being and she has is actively participating in manifesting her own life, right? So you can get deluded. So some people, lots of people, can put their minds into things in a deluded fashion, and all it gets them is misery because they don't understand that manifestation within the complexity of this material reality is itself complex, while each of the aspects of it, each face that is presented to us is relatively simple, straightforward. You need the complexity as a whole for it to work. This is why so many people have it in a hit or miss effect, right? They don't understand that there's many parts. They concentrate on one part, and then sometimes it happens and it works, and it's like, wow, you know, I got that car or whatever, right? And then they think that they understand it, and they don't, right? They've never thought about it, they've never analyzed it, they've never looked at the reality in total to see why such things could occur, would occur, etc. And so their understanding is so piss poor that the next time they do it, all they get is a pot of piss, right? They don't get the thing they're trying to manifest. So even discussing this gets into levels of complexity that I don't want to explore now. I died in 2018. I've been thinking about this stuff seriously throughout this entire recovery period. When I died, I was 128 pounds. All right, so I'm not bragging, I'm making statements. I've used manifestation in my life. I've achieved what I need, what I want. I have health, I have wealth, resources. and I have Heidi. Okay, so this is a very solid basis for a good life, right? And I did not manifest Heidi. I could not have done that. It doesn't work that way. As I say, the stalker is deluded in that sense. Anyway, so it's not like it pops into your life instantly. It's not like there's no effort involved. It's not like you don't have to go through the changes that are required for whatever it is you want to manifest to be effectively used in your life. All of these things are exactly the way it is. So I had so Heidi and I connect, and one of the things I wanted to manifest was something other than what I was at the time that I died, which was, you know, I was 65 and I was 128.2 pounds or something like that. Very, very, very wasted away by the cancer. I didn't want Heidi to have to deal with a wasted away old man. So I set about manifesting a rejuvenated form. I've taken many approaches to this. I've gone into all of different kinds of things, and I've succeeded. I am succeeding. It is a work in progress, right? And I'm no longer 128 pounds. I'm 181. I've restored my musculature. Well, let's see. This arm will be better to show. I'm damaged still. I'm lopsided. I still have all of the damage from the mastectomy because I've had cancer 3 times, but I'm robust, I'm healthy, and I'm 72, right? I get up in the morning very early, and I'm capable of dealing with the needs of the life I anticipate, right? So I'm capable of dealing with those needs. This is very gratifying at age 72. And it has been a huge, intense learning process to come through to achieve these results. I've learned a great deal about how this stuff works. I don't know it all. I mean, it's huge, it's complex, right? Many, 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 many lives will be spent exploring this in scientific reductionist kind of thinking, writing up how it all works and that kind of thing, all right, how the manifestation process works. I'll give you an overview of it. If you go and read Neville Goddard, you can follow his instructions and you can achieve, okay? I wrote commentary on the book of, on the Gospel of Thomas, which is the 114 sayings of Jesus, all about manifestation. That's all he was talking about, was how to manifest. This is why they're not in any Bible. The people that live in the grit world, that want you to think the grit world is all and is solid, and would exist if all consciousness left, those people want to control your mind. They don't want you to be self-empowered. They don't want you to be self-serving in the reality. They don't want you to manifest the reality in which you would like to live. They want you poor, broke, and suffering so that they can have their twisted power over you. I have theories about some of this. I'm going to tell you a lot of times here I have theories, it's a guess, etc., etc. I am guessing that a lot of okay, so there are reports in ancient literature that there were 7 groups of men, 7 types of humans, and there were Jews, okay? And the difference in these ancient literatures went to blood type and all of these kind of things. It was not a pejorative. The literature was not saying good or bad on any of this, okay? So there's basically 8 types of humans. And one of them can't manifest worth shit. And that's the Ashkenazi, okay? Not the Judeans, not the Judeans that were associated with the Christ story, but the Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazi had been, I won't go into it, I won't get diverted there. Anyway, so not everybody can manifest at the same level. All of it has to do with how your mind is structured and your belief system. That will affect your body. As you see, I'm no longer 128 pounds and dead, right? So I've altered my mind and am rebuilding and now fashioning the body I want to have. I like being active, you know, I've done 50 plus years in martial arts, so I'm not going to just sit around. And so I'm putting my manifestation efforts into rebuilding my form. and making it what I want it to be, and to basically sort of like make up for all of the decades I had the cancer that was wasting me away. And I'm achieving, right? And so my manifestation process is not to get money, not to get a woman. I've already got both of that, right? So I don't need resources, and I don't need another woman. I'm satisfied in that part of my life. It's very good. But I do want to have the ability to fully participate in the upcoming decades. And to do so, I will have to have a good physical form, and so I'm putting my manifestation efforts into that. Now, here's how that works. I still do exercises because I like exercising. So I still do calisthenics, right? I still do body weight exercises. I've got a Swedish ladder over here. I've got rings and all kinds of stuff. This is my gym building. But I don't spend hours and hours and hours. I run on out. I'm here for 15 minutes, and that's it. I go back in. Those exercises are done. The point of doing those particular exercises, which I usually do in reps of 3, is to cause attention to go to specific parts of the body, to connect my mind to those muscles for the manifestation process, right? For my mind to be able to collect and describe to the reality what it wants to have in that manifestation process as time goes forward. In the manifestation process, Neville didn't get that far. He was in my opinion, he was somebody that had been washed up on the shore and gone into the manifestation process exploration a little ways. And it suited his life, and he stopped, right? And there were some things he did not understand. He didn't even see. One of them is that your body participates greatly. He didn't see this because he was a professional dancer. And so he had a different relationship to his body than do most ordinary people. This is why when you look at the old videos of Neville in groups, trying to instruct people and stuff in these, and they're not videos, they're old film. They're very few and far between. But if you look at some of those, you'll see that he has a great deal of difficulty because he does not understand, and he's still, even as an older man, he's very fit, lithe, moves well, etc., right? So his body was still performing as he had expected it to. Anyway, so the body participates. He didn't clue into that, so he never told you about that. His body participated naturally because of the nature of it. If your body is ill or whatever, then you have, as mine was, dead, you have to take a different approach. And you have to understand how the manifestation process involves the consciousness, and then thereafter it involves the physical manifestation of that consciousness in specific ways within that physical manifestation. So there are physical spots within the body that you need to be able to put some attention, right? And you have to be able to put the attention on what you want to manifest in a particular way. And then you have to stop. That's what most people don't understand. That's why the particular stalker that I'm thinking about at the moment, that's why he fails continuously, is because he doesn't understand that it is a very necessary part of the manifestation process that you stop, that you put in so much energy and then you stop. And you have to have a particular attitude at the point that you stop of actualization, okay? The point is that thereafter, and this is going to vary with every person, thereafter, putting more attention in it brings up the idea of lack or missing or absence. And this is part of the key. You have to have a harmony, okay? So I studied Aikido, coincidentally to all of this. I studied the art and science of Aikido, and that's Aikido. It's the way of mind-body harmony. It's a particular martial art. Within there, the whole idea is harmony, how to harmonize your body, your mind, and your effort in order to have fierce blows or defuse the situation or whatever, right? Just how to get your shit together in order to get things done. All right, so the concept is that when you do this manifestation, you have to have a certain level of harmony between yourself and the greater reality and the materium, and the supreme consciousness that creates all of this. So you have to have a resonance, all right? I'm going to have to use necessarily a lot of different words, trying to get specific words that would then trigger you when you go to look it up. so that you'll be able to figure it out for yourself, because it's difficult. I can say a resonance, but somebody else is going to say, oh, it happens when I get my spine this particular way, right? Because then that's when the resonance in their body is reflecting in the material reality by aligning their spine a particular way, and they key into it. That's the thing, is their consciousness uses that as its clue. That's why when I'm doing my rebuilding of the body, I put energy into specific muscles intensely. And so I'll try and do 3 reps to failure, or get to closest failure as I can, doing 3 reps. So like if I'm doing a dip, I'll do a very deep dip to the absolute limit I can, and then I will be excruciatingly slow coming on up, to concentrate as much intense mental effort into those specific muscles, which are hurting like fuck, such that when I stop, I have this like vibration effect still within those muscles. That's what brings the manifestation process into it. The manifestation process is, this reality is just bizarre as fuck, people. So you're going to see, all right, so the symbol that I have for all of this stuff comes from the Cathari. The Cathari were killed. They were called the 2 principal people, right? And they were destroyed by the Catholics because the Cathari practiced magic. They had these people called the perfecti who had perfected this process, and they would aid the group in causing positive manifestation. And so the Cathari had a particular view of the universe. That view of universe was represented by a circle with a cross in it. It was not really a cross, it was dividing it into 4 segments. This is exactly the same that we see in science, where they put the ether on the outside of the circle as the circle encircling itself, and then the 4 aspects of manifesting reality within it. And so this was what was known as the Cathari cross, and it was their symbol. It was on their shields and all of that kind of stuff. And it was banned by the Catholic Church. And it was because it was referencing the 5 principles, right? Ether as the substrate of our manifesting reality. And that's what is actually occurring. What you do when you're manifesting is you cause vibrations to go out into this substance that we've named the ether. All of these are labels. It doesn't it doesn't matter. None of these words are magical. You don't want to take that kind of stuff seriously. You want to get into the practicality of it. Yes, it's fascinating. I'm getting deep into the fascination part of it now. I like cataloging things. I'm old, you know. I can't spend all my time molesting Heidi, but, you know, so I need something else to do as a hobby, right? So anyway, so I'm categorizing all of this stuff and working in on it. It's something that occupies my mind. But you need not be involved in any of that in order to get this stuff to actually happen. If you want to think about it, your physical body, and so this is, we'll just call this your physical body out in the present, okay? And so this is your body, and it is surrounded, it exists within the ether. And your consciousness can interact with the surrounding ether to cause the manifestation through vibration of stuff from that ether into the perception of the body in the present physical reality. So they've taken the concept of ether away from physical science. The reductionists, the Talmudists, you know, all these nut jobs that are in charge of shit. They don't want you to be able to manifest. It takes their control away from them. You know, they would have preferred that I died and stayed dead. Anyway, so this is sort of the structure of what we've got here. There's going to be a huge, in my opinion, I've already seen the beginnings of it, and it's fantastically large. There's going to be a big increase in people going into the idea of manifestation, all right, and all of the particulars of it. Many people have wrong ideas, so you'll have to, just like space aliens, right? You got people saying Council of the Pleiadians and all this other horse shit, assigning labels, weird-ass words that make them vibrate a particular way, which why they put it out there. that sort of thing, right? So their delusions, they're pressing out into the greater reality. They want to subdivide some of these minds and, in terms of the reality and so on. But they're going to get into the manifestation process, and a lot of them will do very poorly, okay, because they won't understand that it's a complex process. It involves body control, although you don't have to be an athlete because it's mental. I'll get into that in just a second, and then I'm going to go get some coffee and get on with things. All right, so the ether is formless. It's the substrate from which everything comes. It responds to the vibrations that we set up. That's how this works at a very simplistic view. It's a resonance, all right? And so your consciousness participates in the resonance through feeling. So you wake up one day and you're just mean and fug. You just got this feeling you want to go and just kick everybody. Not going to be able to manifest much that way, right? The reason is not because the feeling itself, but because the way that feeling is through you and preventing your awareness, your consciousness from perceiving other things. It dominates you. Now, there are people that will use rage to manifest. Very deadly, it's stupid, it degrades you, and it is only momentarily effective, right? You can't keep it up. It's not persistent, it's not sustainable. The way to manifest involves, and I've seen this in the ancient text, okay? So I'm going to reveal a bunch of stuff here today that I've kept to myself for a long damn time. Well, for myself and the old farts in my group. And some of these, you'll be able to go out and look them up, right? I think it's spelled with 2 M's, the lemma. The lemma, and you'll see other names for it, is also described as like the vocal center. It could be, I think it's also described as the language center. This is a part in your brain, okay? So the lemma is really interesting because the lemma exists in your mind, which is not physical and it's not even in your head, and the lemma has been assigned to a spot in your brain. That's within the linguistic part of your brain, the part of your brain in the sort of mid-forefront that controls language and deals with language. In some people it's always chattering to them. There's always that little churn of something going on in their lemma. That they always have that little voice in their head. I don't have that. I can take that and turn it off if I wanted, because I've done Zen meditation. I got very good at that level of control. And you can do it too. You can learn to shut it off if you want. So it's quite blissful, for instance, to exercise with no mental chatter and not having to use music or anything like that to drown it out and put all of your attention into your physical body. It has really aided me in bulking up and repairing a lot of the damage through manifestation, that ability. Anyway, so the lemma is the first key to this, okay? So we're going to talk about 3 spots in the body. The lemma exists in the body in a material sense in your brain. You can go look it up. It's just a scientific designation. You'll see a little arrow in a drawing pointing to a particular spot in your brain. That's not meaningful. What is meaningful is that the lemma is the part in your mind that has excitation just ahead of words coming out of you, just ahead of excitation in the brain leading to speech, or mental speech leading to words within your head, okay? So that part of your brain gets a little bit of a vibration because the lemma in the mind outside of your body is activated because you want to say something. Your consciousness is directing through the lemma in your mind to cause speech, communication, expression, projection, however you want to think about it. Your mind is there first, and then the body reacts. this connection between, this is a very unique connection. Dogs have it to some degree. You'll get some dogs that can speak to you. They probably would be able to do some level of manifestation because they have the ability to tie the mind lemma to the body lemma. But beyond that, no other animals do other than, we think, whales and dolphins, right? We see it, some of it in orangutans in a different fashion. But nonetheless, so the lemma has a physical correspondence to a mental correspondence, and this is a key part. Without that, manifestation could not occur. Now, the lemma, even though it's the language part of your mind, need not have words in it to be active in this process. So there are people that manifest without mental words. They manifest through images. This is sort of the process here, is that you have to have the instance that you want to manifest, and that instance, whatever it is, whatever you want to create, has to be held in your mind in the lemma, while there is a corresponding energy, the emotion that you put into other parts of your body. In some of the, so there's the energy in the lemma coming from your mind, then there's the energy of the emotion in your body affecting your body, and then there's the commands in your body. These are the three physical components of this. Bear in mind, your body is a fading kind of a thing. That reality is creating itself ahead of the manifestation into matter, and then as it's creating itself into matter, it's already fading into existence to be replaced. This is why it's called the event stream. It's continuous. It never shuts down. It's also called the pleroma, the living. Jesus called it the living Father. The monad, all different, supreme consciousness, all different kinds of things, okay? It's a process, though. It's continuous. And it's continuous at a level that you just can't imagine. All right, so you can use any amount or any type of emotion to manifest. Most emotions are going to be useless in that effort, though, okay, because of the nature of the emotion itself. If you could sustain it, if you could raise it to the level that you need, any emotion, sadness, pity even, any of these could be effective, because what you have to do is you have to cause a vibrational feeling to occur within your mind that then spreads to your body. This vibrational feeling is powered by the emotional center of the brain through the pineal gland and the pituitary. And they're joining in a process. And the fluids from both of them come together. This is the physical manifestation of this whole process. These come together. They create a certain energy in your body that has that causes these other energies to be available to you, and you can do things with them. Then you have to have, so that part of it in your brain initiates it all. This begins with the lemma. You can put an image in there. So if you want to manifest a speedboat, you just have to look at a picture and say, I want to manifest a speedboat. I know guys that do it this way, okay? They get pictures and they have these pictures around them, and they use the pictures to build up an energy mass within their brain that they then put into their body in order to manifest this thing. When you do that, you have to be aware of things, right? That reality is not going to give you that particular model of a speedboat kind of a deal. It doesn't work that way. What they're doing is they're creating like a hole in reality such that reality can fill it with something that would more or less fill that hole. This is why the stalker doesn't get anywhere, right? Because Heidi is not available in this reality for him to manifest that way. And that's where a lot of collisions come in. You have to understand the not nuances, but rather the basic laws of how all these things work. Okay, so there are people that do this with imagery. Other people do it with words, linguistically. One of the key components is to put this energy into it, put this emotion into it. The emotion has to terminate, however it is. So if you start with rage, it has to, all of them. If you start with love, sadness, crying, pity, whatever, you have to end up, you have to stop at a particular point when you feel you've achieved that energy need, the requirements. We'll get into that in a second. When you filled your energy bucket, you have to stop and not put any more energy into it. And you have to end with the feeling, the emotion, the mental concept of it manifest, of it done, of it created. So you don't question it. You don't go back. You don't second guess it. So you put the energy in and you say, I want a fucking battleship. Look at your battleship photos you cut off of magazines and stuff like that just to provide the emotional energy. Maybe you do that for 2 or 3 days. Who knows however much long it takes your mind. Some people might take it for weeks. Maybe the battleship is really big. Maybe it takes you a year. Maybe you got to have that picture all around there for a year. Time is not material about this, although it enters into it, and you can control that to some level of some degree. Anyway, and so you do that, and then you don't worry about it. You get that energy built up. And this is what usually happens as people begin this process. They go through all of this rigmarole. They get their rituals. They try and put the energy in. All the rituals, by the way, the spirit cooking on the part of the stupid Democrats with the blood and all of that kind of stuff. All of that is just to get the energy into your mind in a particular way. If you can do it without all of that, everybody can do it without any of the physical matter. None of that stuff is material. And none of that stuff is pertinent. Anyway, though, but most people will do this. They'll develop some level of rituals or habits or something, and then nothing happens, and it's like, oh crap, and they just put it away. And then when they're not looking, there it is. Right? But maybe their awareness is such that even when it manifests, they've gone beyond that and are not looking for it, so they don't actually see that they were successful. This is how a lot of success happens, sort of like backhanded. They want it, they finally give up on it, and then they go off on something else, and then that success manifests. It's because there's this like lag, there's a time lag with the ether in terms of how it's going to present this stuff to you. As I say, this gets complex, and I have to terminate this and get on with other things. There are some things you can do, okay? So I wear shungite. They're physical manifestations here. So the bad guys, the ones that want to destroy everybody, all of the gritologists, they don't want you to know about shungite. Shungite next to the skin collapses electromagnetic fields around you. Electromagnetic fields can be used to interfere with your brain, so you can't make these connections to the lemma. You can't generate the emotion. Any of the emotions, as I was saying, will work, all right? You have to put them in a particular place, though. And so you can damage yourself with doing this with rage and anger, because you're going to take that inside and deliberately cultivate it in your body. So you're going to give yourself cancer. I'm not fucking with you. It will have ramifications, so you have to be aware of the side effects, right? So this is why the Buddhists and, all right, so Christ wrote about manifestation, Gautama wrote about manifestation, and they each had a very moral understanding of this. And so in the book of Thomas, you get that, you understand that. Go to my Substack, Clif High, and get a free copy of the book of Thomas with all my annotations on Jesus' saying about how this stuff works. Anyway, so manifestation ties the physical body through the body to the mind, in order that the mind is then able to manipulate the matter. You can think of it as a sort of like, we all are out here in supreme consciousness, and this is our material world, our three-dimensional structured reality, and our material consciousness reaches in, and this is where we live. Our immaterial consciousness reaches into the matter, and this is where we live, and it causes changes within this. But it's always up there in supreme consciousness. It's just tricked into into thinking it's an isolated, separate bit, in order that this illusion down here will work. And that's the sort of the fundamental aspect of this. But because it's all illusion, you just have to have the energy put in the right places in order to affect the illusion. The energy is not burning sticks or coal or electricity or anything like that. It's fundamentally mental and emotional energy. That's all it is, relatively, is mental energy, because that causes the emotions to occur in a physical sense. You can make yourself angry, and then if they tap your blood, they'll find all kinds of hormones indicating you're really pissed, right? But it all came from your thought, right? Oh, damn, look what he did. He's a bastard. It was your perception of him being a bastard, because you misunderstood what was going on, that caused the physical effect within your body. Thus, all the work in, Zen meditation and body control for fighters and all this kind of thing, right? It all makes sense. It all interrelates to how all of this shit works. Now, here's the last little bit, and then I'm going to head off. There's this weird muscle. It's called the PC muscle. Go look it up. It's deep inside your gut. There's two aspects of this I have to deal with. The PC muscle, when you activate it, if you're able to do that, as not all men can, most women have some level of it. It's very unique, okay, because of the way it's connected with the nerves that go up your spine and into your brain and into the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve participates in a way. All matter is secondary to this process. It's all mental. It's all out in the ether ahead of your manifestation of your body. But nonetheless, the effects of this will show up in your vagus nerve being lit up and all this kind of stuff. The vagus nerve, the 10th nerve, goes through the back part, comes on down, and then connects into this PC muscle. When you squeeze that PC muscle in your mind, you get like a rush, and it seems to rush up your spine. It's not Kundalini, although it does at that point participate. If you have a Kundalini experience, it works with the Ida and the Pingala, the two flows on either side of the spine, and so it gets very complicated, right, or complex. But you can squeeze that muscle, so to speak, or pull it in your brain, right up your spine, and ends up in the back of your head, and it's this weird feeling, okay. Fighters use it to get themselves really energized instantly in tough situations, because it's like it tightens up your whole core, and it just squeezes all the hormones out into the body, and you get this kind of like physical rush. That's the analog to the energies that are being put in through this process, okay? So that muscle all the way down, not the muscle itself. The muscle is just like any of the other muscles. It's matter. It's in the process of fading away into to the past anyway. But the ability to control that muscle, to feel that energetic flow all the way down to that muscle and make it work, participates in this process of manifestation. And if you can do that, if you have that level of body control, which Neville Goddard had because he was a professional dancer. So people that are athletes, professional dancers, you're going to see them exhibiting greater manifestation characteristics by the nature of how their body is, because it participates in this whole process. Okay, so one other thing, and I'll stop here. I've got to go get more coffee. All right, so as I was saying, the PC muscle, it's a long name. The PC muscle is in both men and women. In women, it's part of their pelvic floor muscles. And in women, all right, so women do not, as a rule, manifest as well as men, all right? And thus our different roles in our material universe here. This is explicitly because women have been gifted the ability within their body to bind consciousness to matter. They can give birth. That's what happens. Consciousness is bound to matter in that process. Men can't do that, right? And so so our energies can affect the materium in a different way. We can't create life. We'll never be able to have that possibility or that ability to bind consciousness to matter within our bodies and produce a new individual. It's a bunch of horse shit about trans people having kids that way and stuff. Anyway, because of that key difference between the sexes, women, as a rule, don't become great manifestors. Many have, once they understood what was going on. And in the last saying of Jesus in the book of Thomas, number 114, he addresses that explicitly. Okay, and they basically, he says that women can manifest if taught. right? And if they're taught a particular understanding of our reality, it's just a mental construct. It doesn't have to affect their bodies at all, although it does use the body. And so fundamentally, that's the whole process, right? Energy, what you want to vibrate, or what you want to manifest in the form of a vibration active in your mind in some way, a specific period of duration so that you can build up the conditions, and then a mindset of it having been accomplished, and you just forget about it, and it appears. The energy aspect of it is key, where you put it in. There's all these details, but the details need not matter to you, because it is an intuitive process, an intuitive felt process. So someone can, I've taught martial arts. As you do Aikido, at some point you have to teach. It's just the way it goes. When you're in, 2 or 3 years into it, you teach the more simple skills. So I've taught people to roll forward and backward. And they're clunky, and they hurt themselves. They don't really grasp what it is. You see somebody who's done Aikido, and they're effortless. They just flow. Just roll on the ground and pop back up. And it is a skill set in that sense, right? Just like manifestation. The ability to learn to roll is in your mind and your body. I can have a million damn words and you won't get it. And then one day something will happen, you'll twist a particular way and it'll be smooth, and you'll get a feeling of accomplishment, and you'll get the feeling of having rolled without being square, without knocking the edges off, right? And all of a sudden, you've got it, right? And so the million words didn't help. Maybe some aspect of the practice, maybe the fact that you've done a bunch of them and failed, did help. Maybe you just had to be in that particular way for your body and your consciousness paying attention to it in that particular instant in order for you to get that feeling and make it into that smooth process of rolling. This is exactly the same thing, all right? Because it's mind-body coordination, it's not going to be, it's simple to do. I can describe it a million times in different ways, hoping to get the idea across to you, but none of that matters because it is the actualization of your consciousness in the presence affecting your body with the feedback loop of feeling that effect in your body that produces the results, none of which I can do for you. All I can do is basically describe it, right? And then have at it, guys. Keep practicing. It does work. I'm proof of that, right? I'm 72. I've died 3 times. I've got a really gorgeous girlfriend. I'm rebuilding my body. I have no expectation of a death at any time soon. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. Anytime I need money, I can do things to create it. So, so life is good. There's challenges. Maybe we got space aliens to fight. Hey, I'm happy as a clam at high tide. So anyway, so have fun, read Neville. Maybe you're one of those people that have to pack in knowledge about it before it starts clicking. I don't know. It all depends on how you learn. Anyway, guys, good luck. Never give up.